our honest thoughts
on the F1 movie.
Hooray!
I'm so excited to watch this.
Can't wait to watch. It is time for us finally to talk about the Formula One movie, because we have both seen it, we saw it individually at cinemas, didn't we, Tommy?
And not spoken, because you're on holiday.
And not spoken as well. That's the key.
That has
thing
been
here,
so difficult to not message you
we
after.
were like,
I watched it and I'm like, don't say anything.
Like, save it for the podcast, save it for you guys, and we're going to have it out. I really hope that we're just so divided with this that
so
we will just have a brawl. But yes, I guess a word of warning is that there'll be, of course, some mild spoilers discussing a few moments and some of the plot, but obviously we won't be saying, this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
Exactly.
We'll do our best, but of course,
so
if you're
don't
watching
want to
this,
hear anything.
How do you give thoughts without talking about the movie? I don't know. If you're on this podcast or video, you get it. So we will do our best to not spoil too much. So let's get into it. And the first question is not from anybody. It's from ourselves. Is it worth watching? Ooh, who goes first? Oh, it's so exciting.
Go on,
okay.
You go.
All right, I'll go. Okay. Is the Formula One movie worth watching? I would say that, yes. Look, I like Formula One, and I was in an IMAX cinema. It's wonderfully visual and audio and everything else. It's very... Would I say to go and watch it? Yes, if you are a Formula One fan that wants to see Formula One cars in a really cool cinematic way. Of course, the actual Apex GP car is not a Formula One car. But I would say there are things that we will get into that are good about the movie. And I would say that just so that you don't have FOMO, why not? It's at the movies. Just go and watch it, and then we can all discuss it together.
Yeah, let's be honest. Most fans are going to see it whether they like it or not. And even the people that probably are commenting on Formula One's Instagram going, oh, shut up about the movie, I want to see the racing, will probably end up watching it at some point, because we're all Formula One fans and we kind of can't help ourselves. It was very cool to see Formula One in a cinema. It also made me think, oh my God, why do they not just rent cinemas out to watch real Formula One? Because it would be absolutely freaking awesome to watch it on a massive screen. Look,
Formula One, I know you're watching this because you want to know what me and Tommy are saying. Let's talk. Let's do like Matt and Tommy watch-alongs.
Exactly.
Get involved. Just drop us an email.
So watching Formula One on a big screen, on a massive IMAX cinema, the kind of creativity of like the filming of the cars and stuff like that, and seeing it on a massive screen was absolutely awesome. And that is about as much good things as I'll say.
No, right now you're holding it back. You're
okay,
holding back all your good things. Yeah. No, we don't want to spoil what we're about to say about other things, Tommy. You know what I'm saying? Like we're holding things back. Right. Question. Noel Rajes. How were the race scenes? I think this is what we've been touching upon. I really loved the way that they somehow visually incorporated the Apex GP Formula 2 car into the
real
Formula 1
F1,
races.
yeah.
Like the real F1 races, you had moments that were literally from the racing, and incorporating the movie into that I thought was really awesome. The sound, the visuals, they were really freaking awesome. Like I was sat there going, God, I love F1, and it was worth watching just purely for the effort that they put in to that side of things.
The race scenes were easily the best part of the movie, and the good news is there's a lot of them, because it's mainly just race after race after race, really. You know, you get these long race sequence, and that is the thing that in Formula One movies and just general motorsport movies, that's normally the worst bit of the films, I must admit. But I actually think that they did it incredibly well. I mean, there's no surprise that there's going to be, you know, loads of crashes and things like that, because at the end of the day, it's a Formula One action film. But the way they put together stuff was actually very impressive. And, you know, there's plenty of cringe moments during the racing, and sometimes it does get a little bit, if you've ever seen the film Driven, where it almost gets a little bit comically ridiculous. There are moments like that for sure, but I will say that, you know, the racing is actually the best bit of the film.
Question from I Love Salat. How much misinformation is in the F1 movie? I guess it's not misinformation as such as it's like it's a movie and it's... I don't know, it's hard to label it a certain word because it's not misinformation in the sense of like, Logan Sargent won last year's Formula One World Championship because we're making this movie as American as possible, which is what it kind of felt like at a lot of times, that it was heavily Americanized. But no, I think that in terms of the misinformation, you had things like Brad Pitt being half a circuit away from everybody else that's lined up on the grid, warming up his tyres so that he can then have an amazing start. Now, I know that, you know, being 4 or 5 seconds off the back, you can get a little bit of an advantage, but the way in which they sort of over-exaggerate that and many other moments, you could probably class as misinformation.
It was done as if Brad Pitt was like, he comes into Formula One and he knows all the tricks, and it's like it's proper like, what are these drivers doing? I call the strategy. Why aren't you doing this? And then he just like rocks up and is amazing, and it's just kind of the misinformation is weird, as a weird one for me, because they tried to keep and you could tell this was Lewis Hamilton's influence of the way the car gets better during the season and things is like through upgrades and things like that. So it's like that side of it's believable, whereas, you know, other racing movies, you see the normal classic cliches where it's like, change down a gear and press the accelerator harder to go faster. They didn't actually weirdly have any of that, but oh my god, I mean, to be honest, looking at I found it a difficult watch for like the first part of the movie, just because of the main plot, which I don't know if you want to get into straight away, but
we will. Let's go into the next question. Generic F1 name. Does Brad Pitt being such an old F1 driver work? In one of the trailers, we're told he raced with Schumacher and with Senna, making him one of the oldest F1 drivers ever, surely? Well, look, Brad Pitt himself is 61 years old. I don't believe at any point during the film it was clarified how old he is supposed to be playing as a character, but let's be real, he's not playing anyone earlier than early 50s. So does he work as being an old F1 driver? Right, so I'm going to come with my biggest criticism of the movie and the thing that really just peed me off. And it's the fact that, look, I'm a hardcore Formula One fan. I appreciate just how much these drivers work to be the absolute elite levels of their game. And then there's Lance Stroll.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Brad Pitt rocking up
as a
at Silverstone
Daytona
as a
driver.
60-year-old man on his Zimmer frame, plonking himself into the car on a test day at Silverstone against Joshua Pearce, who is supposedly this young hotshot potential with a bit of mistake in him, and on the first lap, going within 0.6 of a second, after smashing the car to smithereens around the final corner, supposedly still hitting his target lap time. I think that just completely and utterly defecates on what
Formula One's
1
achievements
is.
And the drivers.
Unlike what Formula One is.
I 100% agree. I cannot believe Formula One allowed that plot. Right, I watched that, and this is what I was borderline fuming actually through the start of the film, and I actually enjoyed it more as it got on, but I could not get past the fact of the plot is absolute garbage. Like
it's genuinely like ChatGPT wrote it.
If the so I don't know about you, but obviously we've known for a long time Brad Pitt is the star. We all know that. He looks younger than 60. And
if I look like that at 61,
exactly.
My God.
So I assumed, he's going to be like an Alonso age character and he can kind of pass for it, so it'd be fine. And then I watched the start and it's like, oh no, he's actually 60 years old. He's raced against Senna, not driven in Formula One for 30 years, and then joins in mid-season and is competitive. And I'm sorry, but you had every single possibility of a plot here. but because it's a Formula One movie, you could essentially pick anything. It's not based on a real life story. You've got brilliant stories in Formula One like Rush and other Formula One movies, and so many real life moments of history where Lewis Hamilton came in as a young driver against a really experienced driver and against the odds nearly won the championship. Things like that. There are these incredible stories in Formula One, and yet they chose a 60-year-old IMSA driver rocking up and basically doing his neck training on the side of his bed and is a gambling taxi driver and can just rock up to a Formula One race and be really, really good. And I watched the whole thing and I was like, did you really have to choose that as the plot? Because it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's bizarre, and it feeds into the exact demographic that think Formula One is just driving around in circles and
anyone can do it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think it devalued Formula One and
it did.
The talent and the special
and Frank hates it as well. I can hear him in the background absolutely popping
He's angry
off.
as well.
The fact that they could have chosen anything and anywhere to go with this movie, it was the most generic, predictable plot you could ever wish to see. Yeah, the plot, we haven't even got half into the plot. This is literally just the overarching, gist of the movie. But to answer your question, no, it does not work.
It doesn't work. It's a terrible, terrible idea, and I can't believe that at no point they thought, "Is this a good idea to make it like this?"
And I would say as well, I don't know if you feel the same, Tommy, that they genuinely could have made Joshua Pearce the main character and had his story and his trials and tribulations as that driver in the team.
Trying to get into Formula One, and he's the young driver, and Brad Pitt is the experienced driver. It didn't need to be. It felt
have
like
Brad Pitt as the team principal. Do something different.
Can we just talk about sorry, this is a if you've seen it, you'll know anyway.
Be a 4-hour podcast. Yeah, go on. It's fine.
If there was a football movie that was a guy that played maybe Sunday League is a bit unfair, but played semi-professional or a lesser, say played in like a lower league, like a non-league thing compared to the Premiership, and suddenly one day the Premier League or the England manager is like, I'm going to get my old mate Terry to play. He was really good in PE back in the day, and rocks up and then just wins the World Cup. You would basically be like, this is a comedy of how ridiculous that plot is, and that's how I felt about watching that idea.
I'm not a huge football fan, but I feel like it's more because obviously Brad Pitt is supposed to have been a Formula One driver, like he was racing Senna, racing Schumacher, etc., etc. It's more like bringing the old Ronaldo back and going,
and then he just, I'm
we
really
need
good
to
at
take
football.
a risk.
This is how you do it, and he skills past everyone. And then
what are these young talents doing?
Yeah, smashes it in the top corner, and what are all these idiots doing?
Elliot on F1. Take away the actual F1 part. Is it a decent movie to watch? Well,
no.
As you probably gather, genuinely, take out the action stuff. It's a really poor movie, in my opinion. I'm going to throw in another thing now, which again really grinded my gears. You had the main female character who was like a really
technical
awesome
director.
role, technical director in a Formula One team, and she was played as, you could clearly see she was very talented. She was able to extract things from the car. She's doing great in her job. She's got this sort of subplot of the fact that she wants to prove herself to all of these other people. And yet she has a one-night stand with the driver.
The driver, yeah, that's so degrading.
That's just joined the team, and she's the technical director. And I'm just like, what year are we in? Like, how is this? How has someone signed this off as, yes, this is what we want? We want to show the female part, but we're gonna put her in Brad Pitt's bed. That's what we need. We need an utterly pointless romance, which isn't even really a romance. She risks her career for nothing. I'm like, guys, please just delete that and just have her as an amazing technical director, which is what she was.
I don't think it's unfair to say that without the Formula One scenes, which and this maybe is getting more into kind of like movie opinion and what you like, but without the amazing Formula One scenes, which I think that is why you go and watch it for those amazing action sequences. You take away those, and it is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The plot is utter garbage. It's a cringe fest of every single Hollywood cliche you could possibly imagine. There's no, they just throw away random things to like, oh yeah, my dad died. Oh, mine too. And they don't explore anything about it. There's no heartfelt, you don't feel any kind of empathy or excitement for Apex GP as a team. There's no like, it doesn't feel like an underdog story in a weird way because there's no kind of trials and tribulations. There's no feeling at all. Brad Pitt's character is just, like you say, like they've written into ChatGPT, make the most generic and cliched Formula One movie you could imagine, and pressed enter, and this is what it's come up with, because it is absolute trash, the plot. Like, it's genuinely abysmally awful.
I want to go to another part of the movie that also is sort of linked with how Formula One want to portray themselves as a sport to new fans and things like that. There actually is a question from P1 Patreon member Longo1996. How do you think this film will resonate with moviegoers who know nothing about F1 and people who know about the sport? So this is where I'm going to link, again, a surprising angle that Formula One signed off on, which is Brad Pitt essentially manipulating races and causing incidents, just cheating, like literally cheating as a team to try and
he's
get
a troll
get
on
results.
iRacing,
Yeah,
but in Formula One.
Yeah, like I was sat there going,
how has Formula One allowed this? It's so weird that it's like a really safe movie in terms of like plot line where it's never like crazy twists and insane moments, because you always think like Formula One is safe, yet the image of Formula One is like really poor. I don't know how they've allowed to put their name on something other than, if you, like you say, the action sequences, but like the actual portrayal of Formula One is a mockery. Like,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. So you can tell obviously that the drivers, when they were interviewed on the red carpet, have been brief. Look, be nice about the F1 movie. Like, it's in your best interest. You can tell
the drivers, no wonder the drivers don't like it. That they haven't said anything about it when
Carlos
they watch
told
it.
us everything we need to know.
Because they watch it and go, well, actually, I've sacrificed my whole damn life to be a Formula One driver, and Hollywood has come in and made it look like, what are these stupid F1 drivers doing? You just need to drive quicker, and look what I can do as a 60-year-old guy that likes gambling. It's like, wow, really? yeah. And that was obviously the main gripe. But yeah, I just was surprised that they were showcasing this cheating stuff and making it seem like that's what weird
teams do. And then also they just get away with it. Oh, you have to start at the back of the grid for your antics from the last race where you were just literally yeeting people. Okay, next question. Lewis Lieberman. Is Verstappen made out to be the villain? No. Not that I can remember. He's just very briefly part of it. But no villains, really. Okay, hold on, Tommy. I've got another thing to add, which I absolutely thought was ridiculously just silly in this plot, where it felt like they'd written about half the movie and then gone, we don't actually have a villain. So then turned this random investor person from the board into a sabotaging criminal that essentially...
That is the weakest idea for a plot line.
Faked the upgrade, submitted it to the FIA. The FIA were like, no, you can't race with this part now. And then he was wanting them to do terrible at the end. And I'm like sat there going, is this the villain? It was bizarre, especially when terrible. We knew, like, there was no twists coming. We knew what was going to happen by the end of this film.
That's what I had a problem with, is the cliches and the predictability. And it'd have been, the only way it could have been more predictable is if they'd given you a copy of the script before you walked in. I feel like a lot of films now kind of shy away from the fact that, when there's 1 second to go, and you save the world, and it's like literally 1 second, and you turn the bomb off, and we saved the day, and you realise that like they've realised that that's so cheesy and unpredictable. It's just kind of like, oh, surely this isn't good. Oh, okay, yeah, it does. It just does. And there's moments like that just makes you go, oh my word, who wrote this?
There is a part that I did love, and that's the fact that there was an incident with 3 laps to go at Abu Dhabi and they red flagged it.
Yeah. But I wonder what Hamilton's influence was.
I'm like, my guy Hamilton has been producing this one. Yeah, throw the red flag. Oh, it's just I sat there and I went, yeah, no, I like that. Kieran F321, is there anything in the movie that you thought was unnecessary? So yeah, the romance thing was ridiculous.
I think you need to go further into that. I think that I've seen a lot of people say this, and I do completely agree that I think the perception of women in that film was pretty shameful, to be honest.
Yes, because the mechanic as well.
The mechanic is like there's one female mechanic who immediately at the start is bumping into people. Has got gets a pat on the back and is really nervous and terrible.
Ridiculous, because you've got F1 Academy, which is doing such amazing things for females in motorsport, and then you have the movie, which is of course going to go out to millions and millions of people. You have some kind of like responsibility as an organisation to make sure that Hollywood doesn't turn it into a
big joke. So it basically turns Formula One into a bit of a clown show.
It just takes them back 20 years.
It does.
I'm
really does.
very surprised they didn't throw in Grid Girls and things like that as well. If they were really going down that route, it's crazy.
Because the whole plot is super like 1980s opinion of Formula One, where it's like, Brad Pitt's there like smoking and drinking and like, oh, this is the good old days. This is what it should be like, and it's like. I can't believe Formula One. I guess they get so caught up in it that they don't think about how.
Well, look, maybe F1 are doing unexpected things, and in the sequel, Michael Massey will actually come back as a Formula One driver to beat Lewis Hamilton on track and then win the World Championship in 2030. Question from P1 Patreon member Mary MM: if you could change only one thing in the movie, what would it be? Right, hear me out. What I would change in the movie is that we have 2.5 hours of racing footage. That's it. Not one singular piece of that plot interested me.
True.
And yeah,
you could have cut it out and it would have made more sense as a movie, because the plot bits where they weren't racing added nothing. So if you literally removed them, it would be a much more watchable movie in a weird way.
I feel like we have been utterly savage on this movie, but I think that we've also been very fair with the positives. I know there aren't many, but is an overwhelming positive, the visuals of this movie. I cannot stress how well they have done to capture what a Formula One weekend feels like, the racing, the sounds. I think they did a phenomenal job in actually capturing it in the small amounts of time that they had on the grid, for example.
Because it's a very complicated sport, and I understand, and fair play to them for, like I say at the start, not forming into the cliches of like pressing the accelerator down harder or banging wheels and downshift and
go quicker.
And all those kind of cliches. Instead, they did showcase that the sport is all about aero development, and you're quicker if you've got softer tires on and better tire life and things like that. So they did kind of bring that in, and you could tell that was Lewis Hamilton's influence, I think.
Without Hamilton, I think we would have been in big trouble.
100%.
I think maybe going to add some small pros as well because I had made notes. I did actually think that the two drivers, is it Brad and Damson, I think his name is, I think they had really good chemistry, in fairness. Like I think like from a back and forth type thing, they were good in terms of how they worked together, how they had some banter and whatever. I will add that. That's a small pro because they were still working around a plot that was difficult to watch. Hans Zimmer, I think he nailed it. Really good,
standard
really good music.
Hans Zimmer,
yeah, just standard. Like it just, and that just kind of brought the whole thing together, didn't it? With the incredible visuals, and that is, I think, all my positives. Any positives you want to leave with, Tommy? That's going to be not your final thoughts as such. We are going to give a rating out of 10, but any final positives?
Positives
or just negatives?
No. I mean, I've gone in on the kind of negatives with the way they're portrayed the sport sometimes and stuff, but the positives are, and actually one thing we've not spoken about is there are, of course, funny little Easter eggs for Formula One fans, which people will love. We won't say them, don't want to spoil it because that's part of the fun, but I liked that they threw in a few little nods here and there to Formula One fans to be like, oh, that's funny, that only Formula One fans would get. So that was a cool moment.
Okie dokie. Finally then, what do we give this film out of 10? I think this might be the hardest out of 10 grade I've ever
because
had to give.
Because it's two things. If it was like, if I'd gone in knowing it's a terrible, terrible plot and just watch it for the action, and I'd gone into kind of knowing what we do now and gone in and say, just enjoy the visuals, it's probably like...
It's a 9 or a 10.
Exactly. The visuals are incredible. But I also
it's
a movie and I like to be entertained and like a good plot. So the movie is like a 0. So, and the actual plot of it is a 0. So I would give it like a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10 from Tommy for the movie. I'm going to not be as harsh because as a Formula 1 fan, I did really love the action stuff. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Yeah, 4 out of 10. There you go.
It's like drive
not
ratings.
Much bigger.
I'm not going to be much harsher. One grade different.
Yeah, literally. But look, we've highlighted the reasons why we've given it a low grade. But that is it. It's just an opinion, and I really wanted to love it. Sadly,
I wanted to love it. I think that's the big disappointment thing, and why I'm so passionate about it, because I actually was one of these people that was ready to go in and defend it and go, it doesn't matter that this happens, because at the end of the day, like, it's Hollywood. It needs to be a bit ridiculous. It needs to be entertaining. A bit like what we've said with Drive to Survive sometimes, that like sometimes you do have to like get a little bit of the context out the way to make it an entertaining product. So I was kind of all for that happening. The problem was they went so far wrong with the whole premises of the movie in the first place. That's what bothered me so much.
And that is it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This was a long one. We will see you very soon for, I guess, the rest of the Austrian Grand Prix content, because this is like a double upload, isn't it?
Racing.
So enjoy that. Yeah, can't wait for that. And Tommy's going to star as the main character for the next F1 movie I've just heard in my ear.
Indeed, yeah.
From fictionalnews.com. There you go. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.
Bye.